Hi, Sanbonani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel. Again, it's Sabelo Shange, an educator by profession. We are in this together. It is the third episode, where it's a continuation of the topic economic growth and development. So today is June 16, a very historical day in our country, where the youth of 1976 fought for our liberation. As I am in this platform, it's thanks to them, because without them, we wouldn't be in here educating the youth outside there. So today's topic emanates from what we did last time when we introduced our economic growth and also our economic development. I hope you still do remember our engagement. So today we are going to look into the approaches that our country is doing in the private sector when they want to develop the economy or grow the economy. So in this episode, which is the third one, I also want to emphasize the point of subscribing so that I get an energy to continue. Welcome back approach. Today.
And then what do I mean by demand approach? Let's go back. What is a demand? A demand, it means there is a specific product or service that you desire to have, and you are able to have it. If we desire to have a rice, you want to buy rice, then you have means to buy rice. That is a demand. So now, if you don't have anything, it means you cannot demand anything. Hence, in order to grow the economy, the government must stimulate, must make sure that the demand has been stimulated. They must have an approach. So now, a demand now, it means your ability is to pay, we are willing to pay for anything that you want to have. So it is the duty of the private and the government to stimulate your ability to buy. So if that has been stimulated, the economy now, we see that the economy is dying. So the economy is dying, now it frustrates the ability. That is why now we need to have this approach, because when the economy is dying, it means people are not buying anything. So now we need to have an approach. The approach is the one that's going to be stimulating the demand. So the government must then produce an approach as to how to stimulate what is called ability to buy. So because now people are not working, like if you can take the current situation of South Africa, where we say 360 graduates are not working, it means in those 360,000 families, it means they are not have the ability to buy. So the government must have what is called an approach. How can we utilize the skills of these people? How can we stimulate them to be able to buy? So the first approach that must be utilized is the one where we focus on policies. It could be fiscal policy or monetary policy. Let me take the example of using interest rates. If we are lowering interest rates, it means we are trying to make credit available, meaning it's easy to get a loan or a credit. Once people have loans or they have credits, in their mind, what they will do now, they will go and buy, meaning this approach now is assisting in developing the economy. How? Because when people, they go and buy, it means the production will then increase. When production increases, it means jobs are created for people who will be producing a particular product. So that is the approach. So the second one, we are going to look into consumption spending by the household. As we all know that household, they are very biggest component. They always say in economics, they own means of production. So now if consumption spending now by the household is increased, it means there is buying and selling. This is happening. So consumption spending by household can increase following an action by private sector and the government policies. So it means it's very important that when the government utilize the policies, it must always focus on the household, where you stimulate their buying power, so that they increase their buying power. Therefore, the economy will be growing, and their living standard will also be improving. Spending by the household can therefore influence an increase in the production. As a result, then the economy will be growing. So the increase in production leads to higher income. So when people now in the production sector, they earn more income. It means now that will lead into an economic growth. And also the government programs where the government can assist the poor household through grants to satisfy their basic needs. You see the grant that you are having, the 350 grants, any grant that you have, is the one way where the government is trying to grow the economy. As much as some people they look it in other way, but when the government, no human being must go to bed on an empty stomach. This is a standard procedure of people who are sane, unless if you are not thinking properly. So now the government must have those programs where now they are trying to assist those who are poor by giving them grants. So now when you give them grants, it means that people will be able to go and buy. When they go and buy, the production will therefore increase. When the production increases, jobs are created, then the economy is growing. So it is in that particular manner. So the power lies with the government. The power lies with the private sector, meaning they are the only one who can assist the growth of the economy. Government can do this by means of job creation programs to provide income to the household. This is why you will see EPW, those who are working on sites, cleaning, burial sites. So those programs for municipality, they are there just to grow the economy, just to make sure that the living standard is improving. So the government can always intervene in terms of job creation. So another line that we look into on this demand approach is investment spending by firms, investment in factory building. So the government here will look into any production happening in the country. Then they decide that we need to build factories. So factories are the one way of trying to grow the economy, and also looking into the machinery and tools. This is called a capital formation. So to increase the production capacity, where now we are going to have more factories where the government is involved. So these investments are also a demand factor because they form part of the demand for goods and services. Because people they are demanding a drip, then the factories must be built all over the country. So now if you build factories all over the country, as maybe from the government point of view subsidies, it means jobs will be created per city, and it means that the economy will be growing per municipality, per province. The government plays an important role in creating attractive investment conditions. So it means the government is very important because it is the government that must contribute in the creation of a conducive atmosphere. Why? One, ensure political and social stability, because investors, they always enjoy to invest in a peaceful area where there is a stability, where there is a peace. So now you cannot invest in an area which is hostile, which is violent. So it is the duty of the government to make sure that it creates an environment that is peaceful. It creates an environment that is user-friendly to all investors. Investing in infrastructure such as transport and communication is also a pillar of strength, because in most cases businesses they are always on the road. So it is upon the government to make sure that infrastructure, your road, your transport, your communications are in order, so that investors are encouraged to invest. And also when you look into demand approach, we can never leave the government spending, how the government spend. So if the government spend, it creates a demand. It also make sure that it also touches on the job creation. Another way of approaching economic growth, the government plans its expenditure in a way that ensures a level of demand that is sufficient. Anytime the government is spending, it must also stimulate the growth of the economy. The government must plan its social expenditure, because now the government, when the government spends on social expenditure, it means the government is addressing what is called living standard, is also addressing economic growth. So the social economic problems, it is the government who must spend to make sure that all the social economic problems are solved. is through the budget, where the government will take a particular portion of the budget on addressing this issue of the living standard as approaching the economic growth and development. In its endeavor, that the government to relieve poverty, the government provides free healthcare. So there's an element of government trying to make sure that people are living a healthy life. So this is why the government must make sure that there is a free healthcare to ensure that there is a development, because on our HDI, we said we measure development using education, we measure our development using health. So now if the government is utilizing free healthcare, it means therefore there is a level of development in a particular country. So the government also provides feeding schemes. You will remember at schools, learners are eating as part of these programs of the development on ensuring that people are living a healthy life. So those are topics, or those are pockets of trying to make sure that in South Africa there is an element of understanding what is growth, what is also development. And also the last point here, it's a topic that speaks about, in order to grow the economy, you must look further outside, which means what do you import outside, and also what then do you buy from other countries. So these two ways, we have imports and exports. So now where if you have something that is missing in a country, you will go to other countries. So it meaning when you buy things outside, it's not as bad as it looks, because now it means in your country people will be able, they are demanding a particular product. It could be your TVs, it could be your main products that you don't have in your country, because we are living in a globalized environment. So something that you don't have here, we need to get it somewhere as the part of development of your particular country. So imports and exports are a significant part of South African economy and the GDP. So these two concepts, they form part of our economy as part of our significant inroads in terms of growing our economy. So these two concepts, they play important role in the country's economic growth and also in the country's development. So because now when someone wants to buy Nike is from America. So when the government makes sure that those particular Nikes are here, it's a sign of development of individual. So being developed by an import from another country. So he or she will feel good by wearing those Nikes. But it's a part of the government trying to make sure that the country's citizens are developed to a point where, as we belong to global economy, our people are not left behind. Imports are very important in South African economy. They provide consumers with a wide choice of goods and services. Hence, buying goods outside is not bad, because we are giving choice, wide variety of choices to different spheres of people and generations. So exports are important in South Africa because they pay for imports. As we sell goods outside, which brings more money inside the country, it's also, those imports will also then make sure that they pay our imports. So it means in a balance of or in our POP, this is where you will see the imports and imports balancing each other, because as much as we buy outside, we must also sell outside. So these two concepts will then balance. So they are very important in growing the economy. So it meaning imports and exports, they play a very important role in the growing of the economy. And also the last part, supply side approach to economic growth and economic development deals with countries' capacity. Then this one is one I conclude with on our topic. Then when you look into economic growth and development, we must be able to understand that apart from demand side, where we stimulate demand, there's also the supply side approach, where now as a country, what is it that we can supply to grow our economy? What is our capacity in terms of what are we depending on? So now when we depend on the production, so what is it? How can we refine them so that when we supply them to outside the world, people are able to be interested? So as much as we supply these things, so it must create the economy of our country. It must also develop the human beings within the country. So now we are looking into two concepts. It's a demand side approach where we stimulate the demand side, and also we have got a supply side approach where now we have a capacity to supply things that will develop our economy. Let me conclude this one by ensuring that on our next episode now we are going to focus on the supply side approach versus demand, the difference between these two approaches, and also making sure that we understand clearly that the demand side approach is very important, where the government stimulates the demand, and also what are we supplying. So now it's meaning a country can increase its production capacity by allocating these factors efficiently. Are we doing that as a country? Are we supplying enough to the economy where we are going to have economy that is growing? So I think on our next episode we'll be looking into the supply side approach. As for today, let me just conclude by thanking you. Have a nice weekend, a long weekend, and make sure that you continuously support the YouTube channel. You continuously subscribe, because we're still gonna be doing papers here. We're still gonna be debating on political issues. We still also be going to reviewing books. Thank you.